You receive a short message. Can we talk later? Nothing else. No explanation, no obvious problem. And within seconds, your mind begins filling in the blanks. Did I do something wrong? Are they angry? Is something bad about to happen? Am I going to lose this relationship? One uncertain moment becomes an entire story, and the story rarely ends well. If this feels familiar, you may wonder, why does my brain always expect the worst? Why does it move toward danger so quickly? And why does a frightening possibility feel almost like a fact? The answer is not what most people think. You're not negative, weak, or irrational. Your brain may have learned that expecting trouble feels safer than being surprised by it. By the end of this video, you will know how to tell the difference between a real problem, an anxious prediction, and a situation that simply requires more information. And I will show you a simple 3-step practice that you can use. It helps you to move from prediction back to reality. Your brain is constantly predicting. Your brain is always trying to estimate what may happen next. And most of the time, that is useful. You hear a car approaching, so you look before crossing the street. Dark clouds appear, so you consider taking an umbrella. Someone suddenly speaks sharply, so you pay closer attention. Prediction helps you prepare. The problem begins when your brain becomes too confident that uncertainty means danger. And then it does not simply ask what might happen, it asks what could go wrong. And once it finds a frightening possibility, it begins treating that possibility as if it were already unfolding. A thought becomes a warning, and the warning creates fear, and the fear begins to feel like evidence. Possibility is not probability. This is one of the most important distinctions in anxiety. Something can be possible without being likely. It is possible that someone is angry with you. It is also possible that they are busy, tired, distracted, or dealing with something unrelated to you. It is possible that a physical sensation means something serious. And it's also possible that it comes from tension, fatigue, caffeine, stress, or normal variation. An anxious mind often collapses. It collapses possibilities and probabilities into one. It says, if I can imagine it, I need to prepare for it. And sometimes, if I feel afraid, it must be true. But fear measures perceived threat. It does not reliably measure actual probability. Notice what uncertainty does. Notice what happens in your body when you do not know what will happen next. Perhaps your chest tightens, perhaps your breathing changes, perhaps your attention becomes narrow. You do not have to change anything. Just notice. Let's start. Now look around. Find one object with a clear shape and let your eyes rest there for a moment. The future has not happened. You're here. While the mind prefers a bad answer to no answer. Uncertainty creates an open space. And the anxious mind often tries to close that space as quickly as possible. A frightening answer may feel terrible, but it is still an answer. Once the mind decides what is wrong, it has something to work with. It can analyze, prepare, rehearse, check, seek reassurance. A bad answer can feel easier to manage than no answer. And this is why your mind may choose a painful explanation before enough information is available. It is not always searching for truth. Sometimes it is searching for certainty. The deepest fear may not be the event. Catastrophizing is not only about imagining something bad, it often contains 3 steps. Something difficult might happen, and if it happens, it will be unbearable, and I will not be able to cope. That final step is often the most powerful. The deepest fear may not be something difficult could happen. It may be, if it happens, I will be helpless. I will be alone. I will not know what to do. This is why arguing only about probability may not be enough. You might also need to remember, I may not like what happens, and I may still have choices. I may need support, and I may still be able to respond. How past experience shapes prediction. Your expectations are shaped by what you have lived through. Perhaps good moments changed subtly. Perhaps people were unpredictable. Perhaps criticism arrived without warning. Perhaps you were often blamed. Perhaps you learned to notice changes in someone's mood before things become more difficult. In those situations, expecting the worst may have helped you prepare. It reduces surprise. It creates a sense of control. Your brain learned, do not relax too quickly. Look for what is hidden. Notice the first sign of change. Prepare before something happens. That response may once have been protective, and now it may activate even when the current situation is different. Your brain is not always responding only to this moment. It may also be responding to what this moment resembles. Why the story feels true. You imagine something bad. Your body reacts. Your heart beats faster, your chest tightens, your stomach turns, and now the prediction feels more believable. You think, I would not feel as strongly if there were no danger. But your body is reacting to the meaning your mind has created. It does not need proof that the event is happening. It responds to the possibility as if preparation may be required. And this creates a loop. The thought creates fear. Yeah, and the fear makes the thought feel true. And the stronger your body reacts, the more convincing the prediction becomes. You do not have to prove that nothing bad can happen, while you do need to separate the thought from the evidence. Why reassurance helps only briefly. When fear rises, reassurance can feel irresistible. You reread the message, you ask, are you sure everything is okay? You search your symptoms online. You check the door again, and for a moment, anxiety decreases. That relief teaches the brain, the checking protected me. So the next time uncertainty appears, the urge becomes stronger. The cycle looks like this: uncertainty, fear, checking, temporary relief, new doubt, more checking. Reassurance is not always a problem. Sometimes we need information. Sometimes we need support. The important question is, am I gathering useful information, or am I trying to achieve complete certainty? Useful information has an endpoint. The search for complete certainty does not. 3 common worst-case patterns. You may recognize one of these patterns. First, mind reading. They have not replied. They must be angry. You treat another person's silence, tone, or expression as proof of what they think. Second, fortune telling. This will go badly. I already know how this ends. You predict the future before enough information exists. Third, catastrophe chaining. If this happens, then that will happen, and eventually everything will collapse. Once concern becomes a chain of increasingly frightening outcomes, you may recognize more than one. The goal here is not to criticize yourself. The goal is to notice how your mind creates certainty. Are you solving or rehearsing? Worst-case thinking often feels like problem solving, while many times you're not solving, you're rehearsing. Problem solving asks, what is actually happening? What information do I have? What can I do now? Catastrophic rehearsal asks, how many painful futures can I imagine? Both involve thinking, but they lead somewhere very different. Problem solving moves toward a decision or action. Catastrophic rehearsal creates more scenarios. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me respond? Or is it only helping me feel temporarily prepared? Now let us look at 3 questions that can interrupt the pattern. The 3R reality reset. When your brain begins predicting the worst, remember 3 words: recognize, review, respond. Recognize, review, respond. Recognize. Ask, what is my mind predicting? You might say, my mind is predicting the worst. This is a worst case story. I'm trying to turn uncertainty into certainty. Avoid saying, this is stupid. I should not think this way, because that only adds shame. The goal is not to attack the thought. The goal is to identify it. You're moving from this is happening to my mind is imagining that this could happen. And that small shift creates more space. Review. Ask, what do I actually know? What am I adding? What information is still missing? And then consider several possible explanations. Not only a positive explanation, several realistic explanations. For example, They may not reply because they're angry. They may not reply because they're busy. They have not replied because they have not seen the message. You're not forcing optimism. You're reopening possibility. You're reopening possibility instead of treating one fear as a fact. And then ask, is this possible? Is this probable? Or do I simply not know yet? Those are very different answers. Respond. Ask, what is the next useful step? Perhaps you need to send one clear message, make an appointment, write down a question, set a boundary, wait for more information, or turn to what you were doing. And then ask, if the difficult outcome happens, what choice of support would I still have? You do not need a perfect future. You need a workable next step. A concrete example. Imagine that your manager sends you a message. Please come to my office tomorrow morning. Ooh, your mind immediately says, I'm going to be fired. Recognize, my mind is predicting the worst. Review, what do I actually know? My manager wants to speak with me. What am I adding? That the conversation is negative and that I will lose my job. Other explanations are also possible. A new project, feedback, a schedule change, something unrelated to your performance. Respond. What is the next useful step? Perhaps review your recent work briefly and then stop. You do not need to rehearse every possible conversation all night. And you can remind yourself, if the conversation is difficult, I can listen, ask questions, take notes, and decide what to do next. Nothing bad will happen, but instead, I will respond when I have real information. Do not replace fear with forced positivity. Many people answer worst-case thinking with positive thinking. Everything will be fine. Nothing bad is going to happen. Just stay positive. This may help briefly, while your brain may reject it because it sounds unrealistic. A more grounded response is, I do not know yet. There are several possible outcomes. I can wait for more information. I do not need to solve tomorrow, tonight, 100%. This may be difficult, and I will take it one step at a time. This kind of realistic thinking does not promise a painless future. It restores proportion, possibility, and choice. Danger or discomfort. Anxious thinking often treats discomfort as if it were danger. A difficult conversation may be uncomfortable. Waiting may be uncomfortable. Disappointment may be uncomfortable. A physical sensation may be uncomfortable. Uncertainty may be deeply uncomfortable. But discomfort is not always danger. Ask, am I in danger? Or am I experiencing uncertainty, discomfort, or lack of control? this distinction matters. You may still need care. You may still need a boundary. You may still need action. But your response can match the actual situation rather than the imagined catastrophe. Build confidence in coping, not certainty. You may never achieve complete certainty. No one can guarantee every relationship, result, decision, journey, or future event. Trying to remove all uncertainty keeps the mind trapped. A more sustainable goal is to build confidence in your ability to respond. Instead of asking, how can I know that nothing bad will happen, ask, what would be helpful me handle this if it becomes difficult? Who could I contact? What information would I need? What boundary could I set? What is the first step? What has helped me through difficult moments before? This does not invite disaster. It restores agency. 2 ways to weaken this cycle. If your mind repeatedly returns to the same fear, write the concern down. Choose a short time later in the day to review it. Other than, say, I've recorded this. I do not need to solve it right now. And when the time arrives, ask, is there new information? Is there a useful action? Or am I repeating the same prediction? You can also delay repeated checking. Begin with 2 minutes, and 5 and 10. During the day, notice the urge without immediately following it. You are teaching your brain an urge can rise, and I do not have to obey it immediately. You're in charge. You decide. The goal is not perfect control. The goal is more choice. Not every alarm is false. It's also important to have that in mind, because sometimes a situation really does require attention. A volatile relationship, an unsafe workplace, financial instability, ongoing illness, repeated boundary violations. In these situations, the answer is not only to think differently. You may need better information, clearer boundaries, practical support, greater distance, professional advice, or a plan for change. Ask, does this situation require present action, or am I repeatedly rehearsing an imagined future? And yes, sometimes the answer is both. An activated mind is not always responding only to the past. Sometimes something in the present genuinely needs attention. When professional support may help. Professional support can be valuable when catastrophic thinking dominates your day, disrupts sleep, leads to repeated checking, or keeps you from work, relationships, travel, medical care, or everyday activities. It may also help when worst-case thinking is connected with panic, trauma, obsessive-compulsive patterns, health anxiety, or prolonged stress. A qualified mental health professional can help you understand the pattern and gradually reduce the need for constant prediction and reassurance. What I want you to remember: your brain may expect the worst because preparation once felt safer than surprise. But a frightening thought is not a forecast. A strong feeling is not proof, and possibility is not probability. When your mind creates a worst-case story, remember the 3R reality reset. Recognize, what is my mind predicting? Review, what do I know and what am I adding? Respond, what is the next useful step? You do not need to know exactly what will happen. You need enough reality to respond to this moment. The future has not happened yet. You're here, you have choices, and you do not have to live through every possible disaster before anything has actually occurred. Subscribe to Help Anxiety for practical guidance on anxiety, trauma, overthinking, panic, and nervous system regulation. And if your mind remains on alert, even when there is no immediate danger, watch the next video, while your body feels stuck in survival mode.